13,600 feet above the mean sea level. There was an infant. Shiva said, wait, no footprints of parents in the snow. Why did this fellow just land up here? When they came back, the baby had bolted himself from inside the house.
He said, I will establish my energy in such a way that you won't miss me.
Shiva and Parvati were living in Badrinath. They settled there because there is a hot water spring. So they were living there in their small dwelling, somewhere 13,500, 13,600 feet above the mean sea level. Then one day they went for a bath in the hot water spring. When they came back, outside the doorstep, there was an infant, a beautiful looking infant. Parvati always had this problem, that is, she doesn't have a child and she cannot have one because Shiva doesn't have a human seed within himself. So she is a human woman and she cannot contain it, whatever he has. So she cannot have a child. Out of this desperation, she created Ganapati. Out of this desperation, she tried to save what was left of Kartikeya. What was left of 6 children, she made it into Kartikeya. Now when she saw this wonderful baby at her doorstep, her maternal instincts flared up and she went to pick up the child. Shiva said, wait, don't touch this baby. An infant which lands up nearly 14,000 feet MSL without anybody around him, just by himself, this is not a good infant. Don't touch it. Parvati said, how can you say this? This is the most beautiful baby I've seen. And she took the baby and Shiva said, see, this is not a good baby. Why does he land up at our doorstep by himself? Nobody around, no footprints of parents in the snow. Why does this fellow just land up here? Just throw him away. This is not a baby we should touch. She was overcome with maternal instincts and she said, nothing doing, and she took the baby into the house. 24 hours of boom, 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 everything happened. Next day again they went for bath. When they came back, the baby had bolted himself from inside the house and not letting these 2 people in. Parvati said, how is this? How can the baby bolt from inside? If a baby can land up at 14,000 feet, the damn baby can do anything. So he said, well, we'll have to vacate this place. He's locked himself up inside, let's move on. But Parvati said, but this is our house. That's how it is. It may be our house today, if you let the wrong people in, it will not be ours. And they moved to Kanti Sarovar at 12,700 feet. So he was dispossessed of his home because this baby locked himself inside, and this was Vishnu. He thought, what does it matter for an ascetic yogi, here or there? All same for Shiva, but for me it matters, I want to be here. So Shiva knew and he said, okay, let's move on. And he moved closer to Kedar in Kanti Sarovar.
But the yogis and others who followed them, they settled at Kedar. So because they want to come up all the time to Kanti Sarovar, he said, I will establish my energy in such a way that you won't miss me, and he established Kedar. And even today, Kedar, in terms of geometric coherence between sound and form, Kedar comes closest to the sound Shiva. So he established so that the yogis don't miss him and they can be there. And up at Kanti Sarovar, him and the 7 disciples, who are now celebrated as Saptarishis, settle there for their pursuit of exposition of yoga and the teachings and the other drama that happened along with that. So Kanti Sarovar is the site of the very first yoga program and not a short-term weekend program or something, a very long yoga program where he expounded the relationship between the entirety of cosmos and human existence. How this can be explored, what are the different ways to do it, how an individual human being can become universal in his experience. So this whole methodology through which an individual human being can experience the universality of our existence is called yoga. Well, it's gone through much metamorphosis and distortions. So from exploring cosmic dimensions and aligning with cosmic dimensions to twisting and turning and ending up looking like leftover noodle. Yoga has gone through many things, but you cannot kill it because it's a living truth. At any time, let's say tomorrow, everybody gives up the entire yogic pursuit. But after 1,000 years, somebody starts looking at it, it'll still be there because it's not in a scripture to be destroyed. It is not just in human memory to be erased. It is a living truth in the existence. It is just that exploration may take a certain amount of keenness of perception and resilience and perseverance to open these things up. But it's always there. So there is no fear of losing it totally, but generations of people may miss it. So there is an immense responsibility for this generation where for the first time we have tools of transmission with which we can reach the entire populations on the planet. At the same time, these same tools of transmission have become probably the most effective distraction for human beings ever in the history of humanity. So using them in the right sense and making sure that this becomes a possibility, not a distraction. This becomes an elevating process, not a way of becoming a confused mess. This is our responsibility as a generation.